Hi everyone, welcome back. Today's video is my monthly haul, and you may actually have noticed that I didn't post one last month because I only bought 2 items and they were nail polish top coats, and I really didn't think that a whole video was necessary for that. So yeah, I really didn't buy a whole lot in July, which is nice, saved me some money. But the item that I didn't talk about last month, and I'm just cycling over into this video, was 2 top coats from Seche Vive. This is the only top coat I use. I buy this pretty much in 2s whenever I run out. I get it from nailpolishcanada.com. I pick up 2 because it gets me free shipping, and they are super fast, by the way, and they always throw like a little lollipop in with the package. It's so cute. I usually give it to my husband. Their shipping is free for a really low minimum. I think it might only be like 25 bucks, which is fantastic in Canada because you almost never get that. So yeah, I always order 2 because one of them is less than $25, so I always want the free shipping, so I get 2. I use this constantly. I have this on top of every single nail polish that I have worn since I discovered this, and I won't be without it. Moving on to the things that I've actually picked up during the month of August. The first one is the Too Faced Anniversary Palette. This is called the Then and Now eyeshadow palette, and it's enormous. I could not believe how big this thing was when it turned up. Like, it's bigger than my head. It's actually bigger than my Kat Von D Metal Matte palette, and that's the biggest one that I had to date. So I picked this up as a very loyal Too Faced fan, and I haven't used it yet, so I can't really tell you much about it. So the brand came out in 1998, and they released those 10 shades that appear in the top row, but thankfully they have reformulated them, so you don't have to be worried about like 1998 quality. I was heavily into MAC back then. I was definitely not touching Too Faced. That came much later in my makeup career. But the first 10 shades are there. And then they've got the bottom row is what they're calling their reimagined 10. And it's kind of a weird concept because they said that they took inspiration from the top 10 and then made it sort of like similar but not quite, maybe like how they would have released it now. I'm not too sure I actually like that concept because I feel like it leads to a lot of like same colors. Like, yeah, there's more mattes in the newer versions, which I think is great, but some of these, like, I definitely don't need that many pinks or that many browns, really. I can see why they went with like pixie dust and they made it like a green instead, because that's more Too Faced. They tend to have like a token deep emerald green per palette. But yeah, I haven't actually played with this palette yet, so I can't really tell you anything much about how it performs. I will say though that they say that this scent is supposed to be like birthday cake, and I think it smells like yogurt covered raisins, which is not the same thing. So yeah, I have yet to play with this. There is going to be a review video coming in several weeks with like looks and swatches, but that won't be up for a little bit because I've got things to go out before it. So this past month, I ran out of my Physicians Formula Eye Booster liquid liner. I love that thing to pieces, and I was just gonna go out and buy another one. And then I was like, well, you haven't used the Art Deco High Precision liquid liner in a really long time, and you really remember liking that, so why don't you go out and buy that again? So I went out and bought it, and I regret it now. I do really like it. It's a brush tip liquid liner in a pen style format. I put it back in the packaging even though I've been using it for the last few weeks. It's a liquid liner, pen style, brush tip. Love it. It does function very well, but it's not as easy to use as the Physicians Formula one. It's just a little bit stiffer and doesn't have as much give and flow. The color is great. The saturation of the pigment is fantastic, but it's just not as flexible as the Physicians Formula one, and this is significantly more expensive. This is one of those situations where I should have just stuck to the one that I knew I really liked, but it gets in your head as a makeup lover. You're like, well, I did really like that other one, even though it's so much more expensive, I'm gonna go try it again. And for 28 bucks, I'm sorry, Art Deco, I love you, but I'm not gonna buy this again. The Physicians Formula one is usually around 15, you can get it on sale for 11. And I do actually like it better. So I'll finish this one up. It's a great pen regardless, but yeah, I just need to stop straying away from what I know is really good. I mean, I did know that this is good, but in comparison, using one after the other, I can confirm now that the Physicians Formula one is that much better than this one. Got a few more unexciting things here really in the grand scheme of things. Nail polish remover. Quo was having a like 2 for $7 kind of deal, so I just picked up 2 of them. I get the Nourishing one as opposed to the Strengthening one because I don't actually want my nails to be super hard. They're quite firm in general, but I've always thought that if I get a nail hardener, it's gonna actually make my nails stiffer and more brittle. And what I actually want is to make them soft enough so that if they happen to like bend a little bit just from contact with whatever, they won't snap. And my kind of concept there is if they're hard and brittle, because they've got strengthener built into the nail or whatever after applying this stuff, they just snap. So I don't know if that's how this stuff actually works, but that's my reasoning for getting the Nourishing one. So I got 2 of these. I always pick them up at Shoppers Drug Mart. Yeah. I also picked up some makeup removing wipes. These are the Neutrogena Hydrating Makeup Removing Wipes. I know I talk about these all the time, and if you're not new here, I'm so sorry if I'm repeating myself, but there are people joining this channel all the time. These are my favorite makeup removing wipes because they will remove hard to get off makeup, waterproof makeup without issue. These are way more saturated and way more fluid overall than any other wipes that I've ever used, so it makes it really easy to get your makeup off. And I use these at work when I'm headed from the office to the gym, and it gets everything off my face. And the last few items I have that just showed up are from the Too Faced Tutti Frutti collection. Now, Tutti Frutti as a collection is not easy to get in Canada. You have to order it from Ulta because it is not available at Sephora. And in order to get it from Ulta, I mean, if you want free shipping, you basically have to spend $100, and you do pay customs in advance. So just something to keep in mind if you're ordering from Ulta. So I got the 2 eyeshadow palettes, of course. I am actually wearing this one right now. This is the Razzle Dazzle Berry eyeshadow palette. And I really like what they've done with this packaging. Too Faced usually comes out with these enormous palettes, and it's sometimes a little bit too much. So what they've done here is put, I think, 7 eyeshadows into a smaller palette that's a little bit more manageable, I would say. So this one is a very purple themed palette. There's a lot of pink in there as well. The shadows are different. I'm not even sure how to describe them completely yet because I've only used them once today. The mattes are a little bit stiffer but apply beautifully, but they are technically a little bit darker than I was expecting. I was so surprised at this color right here. Ended up coming off quite deep on my eyelids once I applied 2 coats. I was like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. They are super pigmented, however, and these foil kind of shimmery shades are unbelievable. They are like a wet pigment and they're super soft, so be very careful when you're digging your brush in there because it will just kind of like sink. So I had a great experience with this palette today, and the last thing I have to talk about is the scent with this thing. It's not in my taste. It is very berry scented, which is not something I tend to gravitate towards, but what else could I have expected from a palette that says Razzle Dazzle Berry on it? So I did really like using this one today. I think the look came out really pretty. I don't tend to use a lot of pinks on my eyes, but because there's so much purple in this palette, I really like how it came across. And the other one here is the Sparkling Pineapple eyeshadow palette. Now, when I first looked at this, I thought that the colors in here were going to be a little bit more pineapple oriented, but fundamentally this is a neutral palette with like a super bright gold. And then this color here, what are you called? It's called Island Queen. That one is wild. It's kind of like a green brown, but it's paler than you've generally seen from other brands. It's super unique. I really liked it when I swatched it on my arm, and I can't wait to play with it, but fundamentally this is more of a neutral palette than I was expecting from something labeled like Sparkling Pineapple. I did wish that there was more yellow in here, more green, but really it's heavily focused around brown. So this one smells like sunscreen. Yeah, I definitely, artificial pineapple maybe, and a hint of banana. It's a weird scent. I mean, the berry one's a little bit strange to me as well. But I like that they put scent in their eyeshadows. I know not everyone's keen on it, but I am super into it. So I like that these smell regardless. And the very last item I got from the Too Faced Tutti Frutti collection is the Twinkle Twinkle Liquid Glitter Eyeshadow. I got the shade Ice Queen because it seemed like a little bit more of a unique shade. I don't know how Ice Queen is fruit themed, but anyway. So this is predominantly a blue liquid glitter, and it was the most unique because most of them seem to be like very champagne or brown. There was an orange one which I thought was interesting, but I thought it was too close to one of the Stila glitters that I had, so I thought I'd try out this color because it seemed a little bit more unique. I've only swatched this so far, and I can't really attest to how it, you know, wears on the face. But I will say that this has less of a colored base than the Stila glitters do, and the chunks of glitter are slightly more apparent. I feel like the Stila one is a little bit more fluid, and this one is just a little bit chunkier. Now, I haven't tried this on my eye, so I have no idea how it's gonna perform, but in looking at this in a swatch, I would definitely wear this over top of an eyeshadow as opposed to by itself. So I am eager to try this one out just because I really like the liquid glitters from Stila, and I'm happy to see other brands doing the same thing just because like more variety is always good. I think I'll do a blog post on this one and just kind of compare it to the Stila glitters. All right, that is everything that I've picked up throughout the month of August, including 2 items from July. Thanks so much for joining me in today's haul video. Let me know if you've picked up anything recently that you're super excited about, and I will catch you next time. Bye.